Hypixel is Minecraft's biggest server that at its peak had on average over 100,000 players playing at once, but now only gets a third of that player base, despite it still being far and away the biggest Minecraft server. So what happened here? The Hypixel server network was founded by Minecrafters Simon Collins Aflam, otherwise known as Hypixel, and Philip Touchet, otherwise known as Rezus. The server was made in order to promote the adventure maps that they created. In it, they include minigames for players to play while waiting for these adventure maps, but they quickly overtook the adventure maps in popularity. So Hypixel and Rezus doubled down on these minigames, which proved to be a great decision, as the Hypixel server took off in popularity. With hit games being released left and right like Sky Wars and Bed Wars and Build Battle and a bunch of others, it eventually overtook Mineplex for the most popular Minecraft server around 2017, but in June of 2019...
But their head movement's a little bit suspicious. I decided to think like a macro for once, so I left my player in-game and went to go get food.
The Hypixel team released their version as Skyblock, and not actual Skyblock for you nerds out there, but still, the game went nuts, with over tens of thousands of players playing it at once, at any given moment, and still to this day. And right after that, the pandemic hit, flooding the server with players, with over hundreds of thousands of players playing at any given moment, and reaching over 200,000 at its peak, which was for a Skyblock event where you took down an evil dictator named Dante. So then the lockdown ended and players left, and Hypixel is at its current state today. But why did this happen?
It's gonna be really useful.
Yeah, but I'm not done yet though.
Wait, you're not done building it?
Now, to explain this decline, I have 5 reasons on why Hypixel has been declining recently. The first being... So first off, since Hypixel is a Minecraft server, it is inherently dependent on Minecraft's popularity for players to come and play on it. Doubly affecting this is that they are also dependent on players playing Java Edition instead of Bedrock Edition, in which Java Edition is only on PC. So that's 2 things Hypixel is dependent on to have players, and since Minecraft has declined in popularity since the pandemic, it would make sense that Hypixel will decline too. This leads into... Since the pandemic has ended, people have not been playing as much video games as they were before. Instead, they've been doing activities that involve the dreaded going outside and touching grass. So yeah, that's kind of all I have to talk about this reason. I don't want to drag it out too much, since that would be boring. Like hitting your head against the wall. Hits. Speaking of hits,
scientists have finally discovered the ultimate Bed Wars trap. Here's how the trap works. You just place one block, and then you place a second block, and you'll win every time.
Bed Wars, Skywars, and Skyblock have all declined in popularity over the years, in which these have been basically the big 3 games throughout the server's history. Even though the server still has other games with sizable player bases, they too have declined in popularity with the other games since the pandemic, and they weren't really known as big of a draw as those 3 games historically. On the topic of these historical big 3 games, Skywars has had the biggest fall from grace, from it being one of the biggest on the server, to now being taken over in popularity by games like Housing and Murder Mystery and the aforementioned Build Battle. Bed Wars, while still declining its player base at an alarming rate like Skywars, still contributes 13% of the Hypixel player count, while Skywars only accounts for 1% of the player count, according to this forum post. Yet the player base is also still taking a hit, and the community around it is a little more barren now. More on that in a little bit. Skyblock is still thriving as a game, despite a somewhat declining player base, and is still Hypixel's most popular game, usually getting more players at once than games like Among Us, which I mentioned in another video that you should check out after you finish this video, thank you. But still, it's the only game that pulls in north of around 5,000 players on the server. So why is Skyblock still thriving while other games are not? There's not really a lot of YouTube content for most of the games on the server anymore, and if you pay close attention, there's correlation between YouTube content getting views for certain games and people playing the game modes. Take, for example, Skyblock, which still has many videos being made on it. Again, not as much as during peak years, but still a lot of content, and still a lot of views. Now take Skywars, in which most of the recent content isn't even getting past 100,000, 10,000 even views, and a lot of the content when I search it up is just Bed Wars videos. So why isn't there as much content on YouTube? Whoa, whoa. I forgot to put in the obligatory like and subscribe to my channel bag in my videos that vidIQ tells me is good. So please like and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this video so far, and it really helps me out. Thank you. And anyways, let's get on with the video. As before.
Every year since the 1960s, crowds have flocked to the climax of this weekend, where the fastest snails on the planet duke it out.
A lot of the games on the Hypixel network outside of Skyblock haven't been receiving many updates, or good updates might I add, and with no updates comes the games being stale for players to play and them leaving the game because they don't want to play it anymore. Which is why countless Hypixel games have practically met their doom with no updates being made for them, and it is the reason why games like Bed Wars and Sky Wars have been declining. Some game modes don't really need updates. Take Duels for example, which has an emphasis on just player skill and not insane gimmicks in the game. But if you clicked on this video, you might have noticed something peculiar about the title and thumbnail. Cool Hypixel
that dominated the Minecraft minigames.
Went from averaging around
Everybody had heard about it and played it as much as they wanted. But if you were to go into a Bed Wars nowadays,
Now, in contrast to a lot of the YouTube videos that are being made on this subject recently, probably yes actually, so call me crazy. But if you take all these reasons except for the pandemic, you notice a sort of trickle-down effect. The more players interested in Minecraft, more players would probably want to play Hypixel. We cast all this with the popularity of Minecraft and Hypixel slightly jumping with the Minecraft movie release, but it is still bound for another rise like back in 2019 before the pandemic. If another hit game releases or an already existing game becomes popular again, more players would be playing on Hypixel. This is kind of dependent on Minecraft's popularity, but still, it has its strength on its own. If there is more YouTube content, more players on Hypixel. This is dependent on games being good and players playing the games. So YouTubers would make the content and players would watch the content and they'd see, ooh wow, this game is cool. They'll play the game. Simple as that. But first, the games would need to be feasible for the content creators to be making content about them because they need to get views. All of this would lead to a larger revenue stream to Hypixel if players buy ranks and boosters and skyblock gems, which means more employees and more updates from the employees. See what I did there? And despite the declining player base, it is still the hub for minigames of Minecraft, and it's still the most popular server out of all servers in Minecraft. And even though survival is more popular than PvP or minigames comparatively now than back then, it really just takes a boost of interest in PvP and for this growth to happen. And for those who are saying, oh, Hypixel is declining because of 1.8, it's stuck on 1.8, they are compatible for 1.8 through the updates now. So new players can play Hypixel on the newest update and still connect to the server just fine, although with some issues. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Again, please make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. It really helps out the channel, and I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. So yeah, it would really help out. Thank you for sticking to the end, and yeah, bye bye.